It is Monday, May the 3rd, 2021. A very good morning to you. I'm Pearson Bowen. This is the CBC Morning Report. Some students of Class 4 schools who were due to resume face-to-face classes from today have a further delay. St. Paul's Primary, the Alexandras, Coleridge and Parry and Combermere schools are not fully free of ashfall from the La Soufrière volcano. The Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training is reporting that in classes of St. Paul's Primary, classes will be held online for classes 3 and 4 just for today. This is owing to the delay with cleaning at that school and also at the alternative site of the Collymore Rock Church of the Nazarene. The face-to-face sessions will therefore start from tomorrow. For the secondary schools, the ministry further advises that the 5th form classes of the Alexandra, Combermere and Coleridge and Parry schools will be held online today. This is to allow the completion of cleanup efforts at those schools. Face-to-face sessions will start from tomorrow. Only 6th form students of the Alexandra and the Combermere schools will report to face-to-face classes this morning. Meanwhile, teachers are hoping for a smooth transition to the physical classroom after 5 months of online classes. President of the Barbados Union of Teachers, Pedro Shepherd, says disruptions are expected since some schools are more prepared than others.
The ministry has indicated that schools will restart on Monday, and so some schools are challenged today in trying to get PTAs and trying to get additional help to ensure that schools are ready. So we will have some issues tomorrow, definitely, with schools being adequately prepared. But if that is the ministry's decision, I believe that we will try to see how best we can accommodate. But it is going to be stress tomorrow morning for schools to receive students face-to-face. I can say that much. So we just need to be on guard for those issues tomorrow morning.
Classes 3 and 4 primary school students and 5th and 6th form students in secondary schools will be required to report to the physical classroom this morning. The exception, as mentioned before, are those students at St. Paul's Primary, along with those 5th form students of the Alexandra, Combermere and Coleridge and Parry. The Ministry of Education has put strong measures in place to ensure school children comply with mask-wearing protocols. Education Minister Santia Bradshaw made the disclosure while announcing today's official start of face-to-face classes.
So we will have a special COVID monitoring unit that will be assisting the Ministry of Education. It's a special group within the unit right now that is dedicated to education. They will not only be visiting the schools, but they will certainly be on the roads as well, drawing to our attention where there may be breaches both inside and outside of the school plant, and we will address them accordingly.
Ms. Bradshaw also says officials have been working to ensure adults and students can be accommodated on public transport.
What we've asked a number of the schools to do is to provide their schedule as to the times and the number of students who are coming in so that the transport board can then accommodate those students, whether going into school or coming out of school. That was also the motivation for the 9 to 2, to be able to give a little breathing space in the morning when people are trying to get to work.
Government officials say the national cleanup campaign, aimed in large part to remove volcanic ash, has been encompassing a number of areas and entities, including schools. Minister of Housing, Lands and the Environment, Dr. William Dugid, says schools have been included in the cleanup in the aftermath of the volcano eruption. He says the project is progressing satisfactorily and they are also moving into minor roads. He says attention has also been paid to housing areas and has praised residents who have been assisting in the cleanup efforts.
We've also been working a lot in schools, Lester Vaughan School, Foundation School, St. James Secondary, Harrison College. We also did the Regional Police Training Center, St. Michael's School, Garrison School is ongoing. We also did a lot at Central Police Station. So we have a list and we're working through. And I'm quite happy, and let me congratulate all of the people who've been involved in this program. We have rolled it out reasonably well. Of course, we can always improve.
We'll take a look at our COVID-19 updates after this break. COVID-19 cases rose by 3, all female, on Saturday, May the 1st. They were identified from around 258 tests conducted by the Best of Santos Public Health Lab. Meanwhile, 7 people recovered from the viral illness. There are now 92 people in isolation. Barbados has recorded 3,866 confirmed cases of COVID-19 since March last year, and 3,800 people have recovered. The virus has claimed 44 lives. A total of 154,599 tests have been conducted thus far as part of the national vaccination program. 74,608 first-dose vaccinations, comprising 30,842 men and 43,766 women, have been administered. The second phase of the program has seen 16,459 people being fully vaccinated to date. In Bermuda, dozens of people took part in a rally yesterday. The action took place against the government's promotion of COVID-19 vaccinations and its continued imposition of public health restrictions. The rally went ahead despite 2 more residents succumbing to the disease, taking the death total there to 29. 17 of those deaths have occurred since April the 1st. In what was dubbed the Bermuda Freedom Car or Bike Rally, protesters were asked to assemble on Front Street in the capital before driving around the island. It was estimated that almost 200 cars plus 20 motorcycles took part in that rally. Many of the cars appeared to be filled with families. Mark Roberts, an organizer, said the aim was to send a message to the government that the people have had enough of the restrictions. In Trinidad and Tobago, the Health Minister Terence Dayal Singh says that the country there vaccination program will resume from today. In making the announcement on the weekend, the Health Minister said that in addition to healthcare workers, people over the age of 60 with or without non-communicable diseases will be targeted. Additionally, people under the age of 60 with NCDs, including those with asthma, will also be eligible for vaccination. India recorded its deadliest day of the coronavirus pandemic with yet 3,689 deaths in the last 24 hours. Yesterday was the 4th straight day that India recorded more than 3,000 deaths as the second wave of the pandemic carries on unabated and keeps stemming grim new records.
Supporters of West Bengal's governing Trinamool Congress Party or TMC celebrate victory in the capital Kolkata. That's despite the Election Commission banning all celebrations because of India's high number of coronavirus cases. But supporters said they wanted to mark Mamata Banerjee's re-election for a 3rd term as Chief Minister.
From our hearts, we have good wishes for Mamata Banerjee, and that is why we are celebrating. We already knew that TMC will win because the development has been done by TMC, not anyone else. Earlier the left was in power, but they did nothing.
175 million people were eligible to vote in the states of West Bengal, Assam, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Puducherry. Politicians, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, have been criticised for holding large election rallies during a second wave of coronavirus. The World Health Organization said such gatherings are one of the reasons for India's surge in cases. 4 candidates died in West Bengal after contracting COVID-19. Political analysts say the government focused on winning elections instead of preparing for the latest surge.
The central government was wholly unprepared for it. On February 21st, they held a meeting of their national executive. I cover the BJP, so I know. They passed a political resolution, the BJP, claiming that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has defeated Corona. And there were all these fantastical claims about how Indian immunity is so strong, and we are not like the West who are vulnerable to pandemics and so on.
India is now relying on international aid as its hospitals are struggling with shortages of beds, oxygen, equipment and medicines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a meeting with health experts about the shortages not just of beds and supplies but also healthcare workers. That's as reports emerge from rural areas of people dying as life-saving equipment including ventilators are lying unused without the doctors who have the expertise to use them.
As Argentina goes through a rise in COVID-19 cases, reports are that only a very small percentage of citizens have been vaccinated.
Something like 11% of the 42 million population have had one dose of the vaccine, but less than 2% have had both doses of the vaccine. It's always greeted with great fanfare when a flight arrives and they're offloading either the Sputnik V from Russia or the Sinovac vaccines from China, but they come every 3 or 4 days. It's never enough. And President Alberto Fernandez has said he's on the phone regularly to world leaders, to health organizations, to the pharmaceutical companies, trying to find out when the next shipment might be able to be delivered. But of course, many of the vaccines were coming from India, were being manufactured in India, and as we've heard, India is now trying to vaccinate its own people, so that has affected the rollout of vaccines across Latin America, which was hoping to benefit from the COVAX scheme, the World Health Organization scheme, which was designed to benefit the less wealthy countries of the world. They have been coming in, but the governments have been complaining simply not enough. So the only option really open to the governments in Argentina and elsewhere is to impose further lockdowns as this second wave really begins to bite very hard. So as you mentioned, 3 weeks of nighttime curfews, schools are being closed in Argentina, but not everyone's in agreement. People are tired, they're frustrated. So we've had protests, we've had provincial governments, individuals, parents out trying to keep the schools open in opposition to the government saying, look, we need another lockdown if we're going to keep the pressure off of these hospital beds, which is now at about or approaching 80%, certainly here in Buenos Aires and the very densely populated surrounding areas. So yes, keeping an eye on the airport for those planes to arrive, but again, not really seeing an end in sight as the numbers of infections and deaths keep going up.
In just a little while here on Morning Barbados, we'll be sharing with some veteran journalists on the whole question of information as a public good. Today being World Press Freedom Day, we'll be hearing from the outgoing president of Barjam, plus a veteran journalist who you all know will be joining us to weigh in on this. We'll also be sharing with you an effort by some young people to bring some relief to children who are displaced in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and their Shoebox campaign. We'll also be taking a look at some of the hot spots in CARICOM as Ambassador David Commichon will join us for our conversations on CARICOM. All that and a whole lot more straight ahead on Morning Barbados. It's 14 after the hour. We'll take a break right here and come right back with more on the Morning Report. Thousands of Barbadians are being offered a major opportunity to improve their employment value and skill set amid the challenges of COVID-19 and any future crises. It's coming through a new partnership with the National Training Initiative and Coursera. Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley notes 20,000 scholarships will be offered over the next 3 years, which could potentially reskill over 120,000 people. Ms. Motley made the comment at the launch of the jointly sponsored National Transformation Initiative, Coursera Partnership for Skills Transformation in Barbados.
Coursera will create the opportunities for that skills transfer and sustainable training by giving us the content and the authoring tools to allow Barbadian subject matter as well to be created in digital content for use by us as Bajans in our own country. This is a significant departure that allows us to have homegrown content relevant to our needs as a people. In addition to this partnership, I'm so happy that Coursera is also agreeing to give us 20,000 scholarships for women and girls primarily, but also our vulnerable young men. These scholarships have a value of over $13.2 million.
Well, Coursera's Chief Executive Officer Jeff Magioncalda says more than 5,600 Barbadians have already learned new skills through the initiative. He says they're pleased to expand the partnership with Barbados.
With scholarships, Barbadian women can unlock economic opportunity through Google entry-level certificates on Coursera at no cost. These certificates quickly equip workers with no college degree or technology experience with skills to enter high-demand careers like IT support and project management. This is just one way that NTI is helping ensure a level playing field for all. We are thrilled to help Barbadian women take advantage of new education and job opportunities through this scholarship program.
15 people were displaced by fire yesterday following a blaze in which 2 houses were destroyed, one extensively damaged and another slightly damaged at President Kennedy Drive in St. Michael. Only the extensively damaged 2-story wall structure was insured. Fire officials said 21 fire officers along with 4 fire tenders responded to that blaze. Suzanne McLean is the owner of the 2-story wall house that was extensively damaged.
Today I experienced a fire which was devastating, but I have my life, so I give thanks, and I give thanks to the neighbors that I have and the people in the community who came in one span and tried to rectify, but it was too intensive. But they did save a lot of my items, which I am grateful for, but I am more grateful that nobody else got hurt because other houses were destroyed in the community as well.
Was one of the brave young people from the area who was able to save one of the children from one of the burning houses.
I see the house on fire and I run outside and see the little boy in bedroom with the house on fire, and I just pull it out by his neck to save his life.
Meanwhile, Barbados Labour Party candidate for the area, Chris Gibbs, says he'll be seeking to secure help for the fire victims.
My job is to evaluate the extent of the damage, then the immediate needs of the constituents who were affected, and then how I can engage government resources into helping them. So I will be making calls to the Ministry of Housing and the Ministry of Social Care to see how I can assist some of the affected fire victims.
Local consumers will be paying more for some petroleum products from today. The retail price of gasoline has increased by 2 cents to $3.79 per litre. Diesel and kerosene prices have decreased by 2 and 3 cents respectively, with diesel being sold at $2.94 per litre and kerosene at $1.20 a litre. Meanwhile, the adjusted price of liquefied petroleum gas 100-pound cylinder is now $149.19. The 25-pound cylinder is $42.40. The 22-pound cylinder now retails at $37.47. The 20-pound cylinder will now cost $34.07. The family of a young man who died in police custody continues to press for answers surrounding his death in April last year. Protest action is being planned for later this month by the family of Shaquan Cave. Cave was reportedly held by residents of Fairfield Blackrock after allegedly throwing stones at bottles and damaging cars and houses. He was subsequently handed over to the police and later collapsed and died while in custody at the Blackrock station. During a virtual May Day rally, General Secretary of the Caribbean Movement for Peace and Integration, David Denny, said the organization fully supports the action.
Caribbean Movement for Peace and Integration are fully in support of this protest action on the 22nd of May. We also will also pass this kind of information to the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States of America and in Britain, so that they too can extend their solidarity with the family here in Barbados.
Colombian President Ivan Duque is withdrawing a contentious tax reform proposal after thousands of protesters took to the streets across the South American nation for several days to denounce those measures. In a video yesterday, Duque said he would ask Congress to withdraw the law proposed by the Finance Ministry and urgently process a new law in order to avoid financial uncertainty.
Ivan Duque ordered the proposal to be rewritten on Friday. That failed to calm protesters who said the changes would make them poorer. At least 6 people have died in demonstrations since Wednesday, 5 protesters and 1 police officer. Hundreds more have been injured. Well, as Alessandro Rampietti is live for us in Bogota. He's following the story, and I guess public pressure there forcing Ivan Duque to back down on this proposal. How much of a victory is this for the protesters?
It's a major victory for the protesters. Protesters here are not used to achieving their goals, at least not this quickly. This has come after 4 days of protests, massive protests by Colombian standards, with cases of violence and unfortunately a number of deaths, as you were saying in your introduction. But the reality here is that at this point, President Ivan Duque really didn't have much room to maneuver, not only because the protests were gaining strength, but also because he was facing widespread opposition by lawmakers, including lawmakers in parties that make up his coalition and including in his own party. Consider that this was supposed to be, when he presented it as a landmark law for his legacy, for the future of Colombia. And instead, we see how weak and how isolated this president is at this point. Now, on Friday, he had said that he was calling on lawmakers to rewrite parts of the tax reform, getting rid of the most controversial points, but that clearly wasn't enough to stop the people from showing up on the streets, and so he finally decided that the best thing was to withdraw. Well, actually, we expect the demonstrations to continue. We're going to have to see if this will indeed slow down the momentum. What I'm seeing on social networks, for example, are people are coming out and are saying, hey, this announcement is great, but we have to remain vigilant. We're afraid that this will only mean some cosmetic changes and that they will still try to push forward a tax reform that is against the people. So I've seen a number of leaders among the protesters calling for more demonstrations to maintain pressure on the government. On Monday, there was expectations for truck drivers to join the protests. They were calling on a massive demonstration blocking highways across the country. We're going to have to see if that will continue. On Monday, also, taxi drivers called for a major protest in Bogota and other cities. So far, those have not been cancelled. So definitely, the tax reform also, I think it's important to say, was the main driver, the issue of the protests, the issue that had the most public support. But there's a long list of grievances that people are taking to the streets. So those will remain, and so the expectation is that most likely the genie is out of the bottle in many ways, and that we will see more demonstrations in coming days.
A SpaceX capsule carrying 4 astronauts back to Earth splashed down just off the Gulf of Mexico early yesterday. Boats retrieved the spacecraft and the crew after their 6-month mission aboard the International Space Station. It was the first U.S. splashdown in darkness since Apollo 8's crew returned from the moon in 1968.
SpaceX copies, brace for splashdown.
After more than 5 months in space, 4 astronauts on board the Dragon spacecraft splashed down in the Gulf of Mexico off the coast of Florida. After a 6.5-hour journey back from the International Space Station, or ISS, they landed safely, becoming the first crew to return from orbit in a SpaceX mission in partnership with NASA. The nighttime splashdown was NASA's first since 1968, when Apollo 8, the first mission to send astronauts around the moon, returned to Earth.
I think this is a remarkable achievement, the opportunity of a lifetime for many of us, and something to be proud of.
Americans Michael Hopkins, Victor Glover, and Shannon Walker, along with Soichi Noguchi of Japan, were the 4 astronauts on board. This was Glover's first time in space. He's also the first black NASA astronaut to be a member of an ISS crew. After medical checks, they were taken ashore and flown to Houston, Texas.
Today went very well overall, I would say, almost flawlessly. Dragon did great. You know, it was great to hear the crew when they woke up. The first thing Mike Hopkins did is ask, you know, what's the weather going to be like? And we told him, hey, maybe 2 knots of wind and 1 foot of waves. And he was very excited from the very beginning.
5, 4. The crew took off in November on board a Falcon 9 rocket. The mission is the first step in SpaceX owner Elon Musk's plan to commercialize space travel.
SpaceX are looking to go straight to Mars without stopping elsewhere in the middle. NASA are looking at using the moon as a test bed. In some ways, this is baby steps on that grand program, that grand development idea of expanding human spaceflight once again. But I think it's still a significant step.
Making their way over to... While the astronauts recover, the capsule will be taken back to the launch site at Cape Canaveral, Florida, and refurbished for another trip to space.
In sports, only a few West Indies players have been vaccinated against COVID-19. That revelation from Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies, Johnny Grave, as the regional side prepares to host South Africa, Pakistan and Australia in the coming weeks and months. Grave says CWI is working to ensure all of its players across the region have access to get the injection before the deadly virus.
Very few have been vaccinated twice, if that makes sense. And some who are even willing to be vaccinated, their cricket schedules haven't quite aligned with being in the right country at the right place to get their vaccination. But we're certainly working with them to try and those that want to get vaccinated, and we hope the vast majority will, get them vaccinated as soon as possible. But clearly with their schedules and also different vaccines being administered, you know, within the Caribbean and outside, we also need to make sure that they don't mix their drinks. They get the same shot of the same vaccines. Again, it's a logistical challenge.
Additionally, Grave believes more education on the benefits of being vaccinated in these times is required among athletes. CWI has therefore launched a social media campaign in association with the Caribbean Public Health Agency called Talk the Truth. To help get those messages across, former and current players have been sharing their experiences after taking a COVID-19 vaccine.
Doing through our Chief Medical Officer in particular lots of education with the players, trying to make sure that they have all the facts and that they can make informed decisions. Certainly we are encouraging not just the players but match officials and our staff to take the vaccination, and we're working with CARFA and local governments as well to try and promote the benefits of being vaccinated to the population, because we think it's a way that cricket can be restarted, but also you know, businesses and economic activity can be restarted. So it is something that we're advocating, but we certainly respect the need to give individuals the choice as to whether they wish to be vaccinated.
Forecast conditions now coming in from our Met Office here at the Grant Lee Adams International Airport. At the moment, we're under mostly cloudy skies at 25 degrees Celsius. The winds are coming from the east at 23 kilometers an hour. Heading to the tides now, that's low tide is scheduled for 13 to 4 this afternoon. First high tide at 28 minutes to 9 this morning. The second at 10 to 11 this evening. Seas are predicted to be calm to moderate in open waters, swells up to 2 meters and increasing. In the forecast for Barbados today, generally cloudy with the occasional scattered light to moderate showers and periods of light rain, while tonight should be a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief scattered light showers. For the Lesser Antilles today and tonight, fair to occasionally cloudy with brief isolated showers. And now we'll look at some international forecast conditions. And that's it for today's edition of the Morning Report. I'm Pearson Bowen.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, May the 3rd, 2021. Welcome to Morning Barbados. I'm Pearson Bowen. Glad you could join us. For those of you watching on our Facebook stream, at our Facebook account, CBC Barbados, glad to have you company. And on our YouTube channel, Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, welcome. Wonderful having you company as well. Before the show is done, we'll share with you how to make some fresh salad dressing. You really can't miss that. Our girl, Chantal, will join us a little later on to share with us how we can do so. And you may have seen in the press a story of these folks driving around in that horse-drawn carriage, moving about praying for schools. They're here with us this morning. They'll tell us their story as well. But let's start right where today we're marking World Press Freedom Day with the theme Information as a Public Good. And we're joined first by the outgoing president of BARJAM, the Barbados Association of Journalists and Media Workers, in Emmanuel Joseph. Good morning to you, Emmanuel.
Good morning to you and good morning to our viewers and listeners.
Happy World Press Freedom Day to you, sir.
Yes, definitely. I would say a productive and, a very productive World Press Freedom Day.
Indeed. Yeah. Let's look clearly at the theme today is information as a public good. What do you view that to mean?
To me, it means there's a right for people to know what the public officers and their public servants are doing with the money that they have paid them to do the work. It's just like you going to work and your employer needs to know that you put in a good day's work for a good day's pay. So he needs to monitor you and make sure that you are not dragging your feet and doing what you're not supposed to do. So simply put, the people have a right to know what their servants are doing.
Do you get the sense that that right to know is being met?
Definitely, to some extent. But as they say, a lot needs to be done. A lot more needs to be done. But I will say, yes, it would be unfair for me to say that some of that is not being done. But yes, more needs to be done. And a lot more needs to be done. Because right now, the right to know is like a discretion. People treat it as a discretion. But there needs to be more teeth given to the accessibility of information and the right to know what is going on with our public servants.
What's delaying the access to that information that you're speaking of?
Well, it's a good question. I would assume that it's either the will or maybe they do not consider access to information, that is legislated access to information, as important as other things that they are legislating. Because if you consider that a Freedom of Information bill was in draft in 2008 under the then government, Democratic Labour Party government of David Thompson, and they went out of power after 2 terms. And that bill never saw the light of day. In fact, that bill never came to Parliament. Now, in this current government now, you have a promise, an election promise, that such a bill would be enacted. And not only then did they make this promise, you go back to 2016 in their Covenant of Hope, they made a similar promise. And they're almost at the end of their first term in office. But yet that bill has not been presented to Parliament. Now you have 2 years. So I just want to wait and see if within this first term that promise will be kept. I know the Attorney General, when he addressed the awards ceremony of the Barbados Association of Journalists and Media Workers, he promised that promise was not a mere promise, just to whet the appetites of the electors to garner enough votes. He said it will be kept. But he did say that it's going to be a big task to undertake to enact this legislation because of manpower resources to deliver the right kind of documents, because when you under the law, under the bill, you request information, you request documents, and then there have to be persons who are dedicated to respond to that in a timely manner, in a correct manner, and in an accurate manner. So he thinks that this is going to be a really big task to have people dedicated to do that and the time to do that, because he did refer to the UK authorities where they have a bill, an act, Freedom of Information Act, and you have 20 days within which to respond to the request for information.
In the quest for that information, though, what are journalists reporting to the association, Barjam, about the challenges and the responses that they're getting back, whether it's pushback or, as some would want to say, victimization as well in that quest for information?
All of what you just said. All of what you just said. Listen, when people talk about there's no investigative reporting in Barbados, I always smile, because these are people who do not know what's going on. They do not know the challenges that journalists face in actually trying to get the story published. There are enough instances of stories being put on the back burner or simply scrapped. And I can tell you from my own experience that you get a phone call and that's the end of it. So there is not an incentive for journalists to pursue investigative reporting, because they know that depends on who is involved or who's the target or the victim, for want of a better word, the story may or may not go. And so then there's the
go ahead.
Then there's the issue, big issue of the advertiser. People have threatened to pull advertising when you are investigating certain business people or certain companies. People threaten to pull the big advertising dollar from you. And you know that media houses in Barbados thrive on the advertising.
Yes. So what's the protection going forward that the association would want to give to journalists? And what do you see as media houses we can do better to protect or insulate ourselves really against the pushback from advertisers?
Well, you have to take a stand. I don't know, it's going to be a very difficult stand to take. When an advertiser or business place is pumping $250,000 in contract into your business that you really need to pay salaries, that's an economic decision. That's a big decision to make. But, you know, it's a decision that can be made. In addition to that, what I would like to know, what I would like our media editors and managers to do is to back their media workers. If you have a story, you have all the facts, all the evidence, go with the story. You know, back your people, you know, and that is one of the things that I believe is lacking right now, because this is a very small society and everybody knows everybody, and inevitably and invariably, out of no fault of their own, editors or media managers know business people because they had a life before they became media managers or politicians, and they, you know, knew everybody and they're close to different people, and therefore you feel an affinity or an obligation maybe to protect them in some way. But I think that all media houses in Barbados, all management should support their workers, they support their journalists and their media workers when they have solid information on whoever it may be.
You know, the story is not just in government alone. There are stories in civil society, there are stories in law and order, there are stories in the judiciary, there are stories everywhere. And so access to that information is often stymied for whatever reason, whether it is a community that said, you can't come in here, you can't ask me those kinds of questions, basically. And so the journalist is faced with a threat to life. And we've seen one real example in one of our associates, having lost his life as a consequence of his pursuit of a story. What else has been coming to your attention about how civil society has been responding to journalists in their hunt and that quest for information?
Again, you have just said it. Again, you have just said it. I can tell you from my personal experience, I have been threatened. I had been threatened by a wealthy businessman in this country who he was interviewing. I asked the man a question that he didn't like, and the man threatened to shoot me. The matter was reported to the police, and nothing became of it. So you have people telling you that, you know who I am? I will just call you a boss, and the story gets scrapped. Or you have people threatening reporters, threatening photographers. You have people trying to damage photographers' equipment because they're doing their job and they don't want them to take their picture, and they threaten to sue if you take my picture and you can't come here, as you said, and so on. It's very, very traumatic for our media workers. And a lot of people don't seem to realize what we face every single day we go out on the road.
And there are people who are saying, oh, well and good, Emmanuel, but what are you guys doing about it? What are you guys doing to protect yourselves? What do you say?
Well, as far as legislation is concerned, or as far as laws are concerned, well, we can't do anything about that in terms of, apart from keeping the pressure up, keeping that issue on the front burner, keeping it on the society's agenda. So we can do things like that, but keeping it in the public's mind. In terms of our own personal protection, I think we need to use common sense. And we need to use common sense when we go out on the road. We have to recognize that if there is, for example, a shooting somewhere, don't go racing in there like some bear or something without any checking yourself and checking the situation and assessing the situation. You need to use common sense. In many instances, you need to use common sense at all times, in fact.
Right, we got to leave it right there, Emmanuel, but thank you so much for coming and being so candid, really, with us this morning on World Press Freedom Day, which is what we expect anyway on World Press Freedom Day. Emmanuel Joseph, outgoing president of BARJAM, the Barbados Association of Media Practitioners and Journalists as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
And Pearson, I just want to say that on Saturday, I was elected as first vice president of the umbrella body, the Association of Caribbean Media Workers.
All right, congratulations on that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're taking a break right here. When we come back, veteran journalist David Ellis will join us to weigh in on this World Press Freedom Day.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 14 minutes away from 7 o'clock here on Morning Barbados as we continue our focus today on World Press Freedom Day. We're joined by friend, mentor, journalist David Ellis. Good morning to you, David.
Good morning, Pearson. Happy World Press Freedom Day to you and all.
Likewise. Likewise, David, you've been in the business for quite some time, so you know almost like the whole rodeo. Give us a sense of how press freedom has evolved or not over a period of time that you've been in the business.
Well, I just want to add to some of what has been said by Emmanuel Joseph. He did identify a number of issues, but at the same time, I think that you need to look also at the growth of new media and the social media, because that sometimes is ignored, and it has made a significant difference. I think that average people have had an opportunity to go out there and express themselves, sometimes in ways that the traditional media has been inhibited. People are far more candid and open, and it has to be viewed as an avenue through which people are being put in a position where they can actually bring pressure to bear, notwithstanding the challenges that they have with respect to things like the Freedom of Information Act and all of that. I have seen pressure brought to bear in recent times on people who are in decision-making positions by people who are using the social media, and there is now a very strong connection between social media and traditional media. They kind of complement each other. And I think that is one significant change that has taken place in recent years.
The theme is information as a public good. And sometimes too much information or misinformation at times does not necessarily make it a public good. What do you think? What do you think about the theme, and how do you view it from different angles?
Well, I think people need to be informed about where they are so that they can determine where they're going. We do have a culture in Barbados where there are people who, once they are in positions of authority and responsibility, they sometimes become afraid of sharing information, because what bothers them is the degree to which that information can bring them under the microscope. And we have to fight that battle all the time. There's no doubt about it. Having said that, we also have to recognize that in this country there's a greater degree of press freedom and information freedom than exists in some other places. So we still have some latitude. And this is where it's not just a question of putting the responsibility on those who are in power, but we, the people who have been working in the media, also have to sharpen up our skills, improve our own understanding of what is taking place around us. There's a lot of information available, and you sometimes have to ask the question, to what extent are we making ourselves well enough informed so that we can then do the job to a better degree. We now have technology. We can sit down at home now and watch this lecture or that lecture, this discussion or that discussion. To what extent are we making sure that we are well enough informed and well enough equipped to cover that broad range of issues that can be presented to us.
We have quite a few young people coming into our profession now who appear timid to go places where others dare not. And you have been one who's been fearless, really, and you're going after a story. What advice would you want to give to young journalists today in pursuit of their profession?
Well, as I suggested earlier, you got to be well informed. And many of the things that you need to know about, sometimes they're not written in a book. They require a telephone call. They require reaching out to somebody who knows what is going on, because much of it is contemporary. So that's the first step. This whole question of being fearless and fierce and all of that, in my judgment, that's wrapped up in being professional, recognizing that this is part of the job. There are times when people say to me, "Oh, you ask questions in this particular way." I say, "But as far as I'm concerned, that's how it's supposed to be done. That's not something that is peculiar to me. I mean, all you all have to do is watch what happens abroad. You watch good interviews done elsewhere in Britain and the United States. You look at the reports that are done by others. You get a sense of what is the standard. And against that backdrop, you seek to be as professional as you possibly can be. Now, it creates a bit of an issue. For instance, governments and changes in government and that sort of thing, because I've had to deal with that aspect of it, where you're accused of helping to bring down an administration because you have sought to highlight some of the challenges and some of the weaknesses. In many instances, those who are in the firing line sometimes do not respond appropriately to the information. And part of what we set out to do is to say to them, look, you have these problems here, try to fix them. We are the conduit between you and the people who are governed by you. If you are a business person, we are the conduit between you and the people that you serve, your customers. So these are the things that we are picking up, and we are asking you to respond to those challenges. Now, sometimes they may have great difficulty responding, and therefore they set about trying to shoot the messenger rather than deal with the message. So the government falls, a new administration comes. Initially, they see you as their friend, but with the passage of time, once you start to raise those questions and put them to them as well, they start to see you as the enemy as well. And this is the cycle that you can go through as you set about the task of trying to be professional and to work on behalf of the people who need you to support them in that way.
There are many things happening in our society, in our community. Do you get the sense that journalism is responded, for instance, to the latest health threats, human rights infringements and the like, threats to democracy even? Do you get the sense that journalists are fearless in pursuit of those themes?
Journalists come in all shapes, sizes, and they have different thoughts. I mean, there are some people who like business journalism, some people like to deal with the environment. There are some people who shy away from what they see as confrontational journalism. So, I mean, you have a mix of people bringing their skills and their interests to the profession. And I think, you know, when you look across the spectrum of issues, there are journalists who are sufficiently committed to the cause. I mean, there are some here in Barbados that I see who, as far as I'm concerned, are indeed committed. What we need to be careful about is the heavy politicization and things like I've always talked about putting too heavy an emphasis on politicians, for instance, as opposed to what they are doing and how it impacts on people, because what they do is aimed at making lives better for people. So you have to go to the source and say, but basically, is it working in that particular way, or is it to the disadvantage of the people who are being served? You've got to be careful that you don't get caught up too much in that kind of political grip, where you start to assume more of a partisan position than you do one that says, I'm looking after the interests of average people and trying to help them out as best as we can. And that is not just a question of highlighting the negatives, because there's a lot of good that takes place within our communities. I have myself come into contact with so many people who had a positive story to tell, sometimes really touching, sometimes the kind of stuff that could be very encouraging as well. So it's a mix of those things. It's not just focusing on the bad within a society, but to look at the good so that you can help others improve how they perform and how they behave.
Such an important tutorial today coming from David Ellis. You know, I really, before we go, I wanted to say this to you publicly, David. You know, for those who don't know, David is the reason I got into broadcasting. That day when he came over, introduced himself and invited me to come do an audition, and the rest has been literally history ever since then. But there's so many other concepts that I've learned while spending time in your tutelage at Starcom Network as well. The whole question of planned surprise, the whole question of balance to every single thing that we do. And as you've just said, putting people at the center of your story, just knowing that what is the impact on the person at the end of the day. Why are you doing this? Know why. And so, David, I wanted to publicly say thank you for all that you've given and contributed to my development thus far. I know we're friends, so therefore that lifeline continues. And I really want to thank you for all that you've given to the broadcast industry as well over your years. I know you've now retired, but heaven knows we don't ever want you to stop.
Well, thank you very much. And I am really encouraged when I look at the development of the people that I have brought into broadcasting. You are one of the people that I admire immensely. I have several others that I touched in that way. But the real beauty about this whole question of assisting is to see other people develop to the point where they just soar and they take on so many other responsibilities. And you have shown a great degree of dynamism. You've shown that you're varied in your skill, and it's wonderful to have watched you grow. I really want to compliment you for your dedication and your commitment. And I've seen, yes, you've had your struggles, your health issues and that sort of thing, and you've done a very good job of being able to come back in all of those circumstances. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. David Ellis joining us this morning on World Press Freedom Day. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's quite right. You know, one of those people who reached out immediately after I've had my first health challenge, my bout with almost death, was David, who reached out to say, Pierce, I'm with you, and he shared advice. I've never forgotten it. Well done. I'm ever eternally grateful to him. All right, let's take a look at our good decision of the day. Brought to you by Glucerna, nutrients to support your immune system. Today, think how your decision will square with your values. You might feel pressured by others, your boss, your co-workers, your friends, loved ones, or your relatives to make a decision that doesn't feel right. That's because it doesn't square with your values. If you go ahead and fall in line with what others say you should do, you'll be dissatisfied with the result. Always be true to your values, since they're the core of who you are. Any decision you make should align with them. Make that today your good decision of the day, to think how your decision will square with your values. Brought to you by Glucerna, with nutrients to support your immune system. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
7 o'clock in Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. Time for the news now from CBC News. Thousands of Barbadians are being afforded a major opportunity to improve their employment value and skill set amid the challenges of the COVID-19 and other future crises. It's coming through a new partnership with the National Training Initiative and Coursera. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley notes 20,000 scholarships will be offered over the next 3 years, which could potentially reskill over 120,000 people. Ms. Motley made the comment at the launch of the jointly sponsored National Transformation Initiative Coursera Partnership for Skills Transformation in Barbados.
Coursera will create the opportunities for that skills transfer and sustainable training by giving us the content and the authoring tools to allow Barbadian subject matter as well to be created in digital content for use by us as Bajans in our own country. This is a significant departure that allows us to have homegrown content relevant to our needs as a people. In addition to this partnership, I'm so happy that Coursera is also agreeing to give us 20,000 scholarships for women and girls primarily, but also our vulnerable young men. These scholarships have a value of over $13.2 million.
Coursera's Chief Executive Officer Jeff Maggioncalda says more than 5,600 Barbadians have already learnt new skills through the initiative. He says they're pleased to expand the partnership with Barbados.
With scholarships, Barbadian women can unlock economic opportunity through Google entry-level certificates on Coursera at no cost. These certificates quickly equip workers with no college degree or technology experience with skills to enter high-demand careers like IT support and project management. This is just one way that NTI is helping ensure a level playing field for all. We are thrilled to help Barbadian women take advantage of new education and job opportunities through this scholarship program.
Some students of 4 schools who were due to resume face-to-face classes today have a further delay. St. Paul's Primary, the Alexandra, Coleridge and Parry and Combermere schools are not fully yet free of the ash fall from the La Soufrière volcano. The Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training is reporting that in the case of Class St. Paul's, classes will be held online for classes 3 and 4 just for today. It's owing to the delay with cleaning at that school and also the alternative site, the Colomorot Church of the Nazarene. For the secondary schools, the ministry further advises that the 5th form classes of the Alexandra, Combermere and Coleridge and Parry schools will be held online today. It's to allow the completion of cleanup efforts there. Face-to-face classes will resume from tomorrow. Only 6th form students of the Alexandra and Combermere schools will report for face-to-face class this morning. COVID-19 cases rose by 3, all females, on Saturday, May the 1st. They were identified from among 258 tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Lab. Meanwhile, 7 people recovered from the viral illness. That brings it now to 92 people in isolation. Barbados has recorded 3,866 confirmed cases of COVID-19 since March 2020, and 3,800 people have recovered. The virus has claimed 44 lives. A total of 154,599 tests have been conducted by the Public Health Lab as part of the National Vaccination Program. 74,608 first-dose vaccinations to 30,842 men and 43,766 women have been administered. The second phase of this program has seen 16,549 people being fully vaccinated to date. And that's our news until now. We have more news coming up at 12 noon in the CBC Newsday. We're taking a break. When we come back, our crumbs question of the day.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Time now for today's Crumbs question of the day. You know what to do, right? Call me right now on 228-5562 or 228-5563 to answer correctly this question of the day, our Crumbs question of the day, which is: how many towns are there in Barbados and where are they located? How many towns are in Barbados and where are they located? Let's see if you figure this one out. We know where they are. We know what they are too. So how many towns are there? One. And where are they located? You must be able to give me their name and the parish in which they're located. So I look forward to the answers. Call us on 228-5562 or 228-5563. Correctly answer and you're winning today with Crumbs Bakery. Remember, they're delicious right down to the very last crumb. All right, let's turn our attention now to the ongoing efforts to bring further relief to the children who have been displaced in St. Vincent and the Grenadine. And there are some young people in Barbados who are really stepping up to the call and they're making a difference. Let me introduce you now to Tamika Cumberbatch and Marvelly Franklin. They're with ASI, the mission team. Tamika, which one are you, Tamika? Raise your hand.
I'm here. Good morning.
That's Tamika.
How are you?
All right, good girl. You're the mission leader and the project coordinator. And Marvelly, you're the vice president of ASI Barbados chapter. First off, ladies, what is ASI?
ASI is Adventist Lay Persons and Services Industry.
So
It's
tell
a
me a little.
group of it's a group of professionals in the church, and we come together to offer our services within our community and our sphere. And ASI Mission 2000 and Beyond is a group of young people who engage in service to God and service to humanity.
How long, Marvelly, how long has the group been in existence now, this charitable organization?
The ASI Mission 2000 and Beyond, we have been in existence for 21 years. Mission 2000 and Beyond, that's the year we started in 2000.
Okay, so I mean, people that literally grow up with this organization.
Yes, we have several, adults who have grown up, and we have another nursery, that is coming up.
That's fantastic. That at least secures longevity going forward.
It
Now,
does.
tell us why you exist. What's the mandate that you're hoping to achieve?
All right, we exist to direct young people to purpose. We believe if they find a purpose for their existence early, then a lot of the things that they get involved in negative behaviors will cease. And so across the Caribbean, Latin America, there are groups of young people, there are ASI missionaries who give a part of their summer holidays to impact humanity in tangible ways. So every summer, they're all across the Caribbean, Central America, Latin America, and we have children from as young as 8, 6, 7, all the way up to the 20s. And they're involved in, helping and aiding the community. So we have built, some of them are involved in construction. They have built health clinics, centers of influence all across Inter-America. They're engaging the population, bringing relief, constructing homes, and still it is a religious organization. They are bringing the gospel. And in the process, we think they'll find their place in God's service. They'll find their calling to serve humanity. And a number of them out of it have decided on professions that give them time to give back to humanity. So it's a win-win.
It is so important to give back, as you've just said, that as part of the human condition, the more you give, and it's not about receiving necessarily, but the more that you give, the better you feel. And that's the whole point, right, Tamika?
Yes, that's correct. And
Now, go ahead.
As Winston Churchill said, you make a living by what you earn, but you make a life by what you give.
I like that. I like that. So you're embarking now on a campaign to assist some children who've been displaced as a consequence of the eruption of the Lasso Freya volcano in St. Vincent. What stories are you hearing coming from the Seventh-day Adventists, your counterparts there in St. Vincent, and then spurring you into this project?
What is happening out of St. Vincent is the fact that we have a number of relief going in, and the Caribbean has rallied in terms of support, but the children and the young people really are the components that the constituents that they're not being engaged actively in terms of the relief that is coming. Because when you have crises like this, our focus is going to be on necessity. How do we make sure that people are sheltered, they're fed, they're taken care of? And therefore we came up with this idea. I remember I was in a forum where people were recounting in Barbados what they, adults grown now, what they were doing in 1979 when suffrage erupted in St. Vincent. And we are saying if they have a story to tell as adults, let us give our young people an opportunity to have a story to tell, because they would have been mobilized to assist in relief to their young people in St. Vincent.
Mm-hmm. So, Tamika, now tell me how the project works, this shoebox campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're encouraging churches, organizations, schools, businesses all across Barbados to get the children involved. And it's not only for the children as well, the adults can take part as well. And we're asking them to just put together some necessities, toilet paper, toothpaste, toothbrushes, a souvenir from Barbados or whichever country you're located in. And we're asking you to send those items packaged nicely, put together with a word of encouragement for the children in a shoebox, and send those to Suite 209 Dowell's House, Robert Street, St. Michael. And we're collating the packages and sending them directly to St. Vincent, to the ADRA Relief Organization there locally.
We want folks to look at our screen. There you will see the address. The drop-off location is at the bottom. That information is right at the bottom. Suite 209 Dowell House, Roebuck Street. Monday to Thursday between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. And there are two deadlines. Why are there two deadlines? May the 31st and June the 30th.
Well, we want to give persons a chance to be able to contribute, and it's to correlate with our shipments as well.
Oh, I see. So, shoe boxes are not things that I'm going to keep around in my house. You take out the shoes and you dispose of the shoe box. So I know that's just a term that you're using, or is it any box that will do?
Well, any box can do.
Go ahead, Marvin.
You know, when you think of a shoebox, when you're giving a gift, sometimes at last minute, that's the quickest thing that you can find to wrap a gift in for someone, right? Especially at Christmas time.
Marvin, you were saying?
It's an interesting challenge pitched at the age of the young people, yes? Because a shoebox can hold a lot depending on how you pack it, yes? And I want to shout out the young people who have gotten on board. Barbados Community College, our law classes are on board, and they are bringing in their shoeboxes. And some shoeboxes are big persons, so you want to go for those with the 13 feet, 13, kind of thing. And some shoebox, yes. So they can actually hold a lot. But basic items, and that message is crucial to a young person, to let them know. And we're asking all cross-section of Barbados. We have some churches who have come on board, some organizations, banks and stuff, and we're saying put the name of your organization on the box too. Let them know that a wide cross-section of Barbadians are with you in this. We're praying you through this, and we're supporting you through this. We don't know when our time of visitation will come, but somebody will remember that we rose to the challenge. So put your organization on it so they know Barbadians have risen to the challenge and we are in it with you. So we will be the bridge to make sure your goods get where it needs to go. Right now, ADRA is indirectly responsible for about 6 of the shelters, and they are in contact with all the others. So we did the shipment to make sure that when they go in bulk, so when things go to a center, there will not be children who are left out of that particular shelter. So we don't want them to be coming in different times. We take them in, in bulk.
Right. Tamika, could you give me a sense of some of the items that we can actually place in this shoebox so that we are sure that everybody almost gets equal distribution? What are some of the things you're looking for?
Yes. So you can include toiletries, toothpaste, toothbrush, soap. You can include a toy, a small toy, a souvenir from Barbados or whichever country that you're from. You can include a book, a storybook, a puzzle book, crayons, pencils, anything that can encourage a child and can help them in their place of of distress.
You know, and you're so right, because I know children have so many toys, but good toys, you know, a child's attention span moves so quickly that you're finding yourself with a collection of things in the house called toys that are still functional, that were probably opened just yesterday, but the child has moved on to something else today. And so that can bring value, that yesterday's toy can bring value to some child in St. Vincent. So add that to the box if it fits as well.
Yes.
And I'm sure you would want to encourage people to be as creative and decorate, color, you know, the way they wrap their box.
Yes, that's correct. So
See
be
this
as
almost as a
creative
family
as
project.
possible.
It's a big family project. So we have two deadlines. We have May and we have June. If you have any further questions, is that the number we can call or WhatsApp?
Yes, please.
836-1524, 836-1524, 836-1524. That's the number to call if you have any queries at all about this effort. The ASI Adventist
Laypersons and services.
Thank you so much. The shoe boxes for you see, you guys say it so much better than me. You know, the shoe boxes for St. Vincent, and this effort will continue indeed. I want to encourage you ladies to continue doing what you're doing, because it will make a tremendous difference to the little ones in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It cannot be easy knowing that life is not as usual, and so I'm glad that you're able to uplift their spirit by helping them at least find their way through this in a degree of normalcy. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, and thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. Tamika Cumberbatch, the ASI team member and leader of the group coordinator, and Marvalie Franklin, vice president of ASI, the Barbados chapter, looking at asking all of us to join them in this shoebox effort as well. May 30th and June 30th. May 31st, June 30th, those are the deadlines. Alrighty then. Do we have a winner of today's Crumbs question of the day? I wonder. Do you all even remember what that question is? That question, let's see if we can remind folks of what that question was, and then we'll share with you what the answer is and potentially who the winner is. How many towns are there in Barbados and where are they located? The answer to that question is, we have Bridgetown, St. Michael, Holetown, St. James, Oysterstown in Christchurch, and Speightstown, St. Peter. So there we go. Those are four, and those are their locations. The winner of today's question is Sonia Mears. Sonia, sharp girl. Congratulations to you, Sonia Mears. You're absolutely right. And so because you're so right, you are the winner today. Someone from Crumbs Bakery will be making contact with you, Sonia, to make arrangements with you to collect your winnings from Crumbs Bakery. Remember, Sonia, they're delicious right down to the very last crumb. We're going to take a break right here. When we come back, we're going to give you another opportunity to win, this time a little differently, with the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados. Stand by for that.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, 21 and a half minutes now after the hour of 7 o'clock. You see that right there? Right there. It's time for us with the Heart and Stroke Foundation to make you a winner this morning. I'll ask you a question, then you call me on 228-5562 or 228-5563. Why? In celebration of Child Month 2021, the Heart and Stroke Foundation's Childhood Obesity Prevention Program is bringing greater awareness to the good health and nutrition of our children. And so this quiz will give you the chance to respond to some of those questions. So here we go with question number 1 today. What nutrient do you get from direct sunlight? What nutrient do you get from direct sunlight? Do you think you know? You think you know? 228-5562 or 228-5563. Call me now and let me hear your answer. What nutrient do you get from direct sunlight? And I think you know the answer already. So call me when you're ready. I'll get it into my ear. 228-5562 or 228-5563. You're going to be winning with the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados, all in celebration of Child Month. And so the question is, what nutrient do you get from direct sunlight? Good morning to you. Good morning.
Is it vitamin D?
Oh, good morning.
Hi, morning.
I'm
Hello,
not hearing
morning.
anyone if someone is there. I'd like to hear the
Morning.
answer. Is anyone there?
Yes,
228-5562 or 228-563. Let's try
hear me?
again. Good morning.
Hello,
Hi, good morning.
morning.
What's your first name?
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, yes. It's Heather.
Hi, Heather. How
Hi,
are
good
you?
morning. I'm well, thank you. And you?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking, Heather. Is this Heather who I know?
I don't think so.
Oh, this is a different Heather.
It is. Yes, please.
All right, Heather. So what nutrient do you get from direct sunlight?
Is it vitamin D?
Don't ask me questions. I want an answer.
Vitamin D.
Absolutely right, Heather. You're
you.
absolutely right. Indeed. Well done, indeed. How did you know?
Well, I do a lot of reading.
I do too.
Yes,
But some people don't know the answer.
Okay, well, I do a lot of studies in
Okay.
nutrition and things like that.
Ah, that explains it. So Heather, stay on the line right there. You've won with Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados this morning, and I really want to commend you on all of that. All right, keep reading, because the more you read, the better you become.
I want to commend you too on your Thursdays, the young people, when you promote those young people that are doing well. Well done to you and CBC.
Thank you. And the team says thank you as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're
Stay on the lines. Don't put down. Stay on the line. So Heather absolutely is right when she said vitamin D is that nutrient which one gets from direct sunlight. Well done. Tomorrow we have another question all month long in the month of May. So we are going to make winners of you with the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados. We're back with more on our conversations on CARICOM after this break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Time for us to turn our conversations on CARICOM with His Excellency David Commichon, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM. Good morning to you, Ambassador.
Good morning, Pearson.
Good morning. What a rainy Monday, but it's a beautiful day indeed. Thank you so much for joining. You know, when one starts for just a moment, you ponder, there's so much happening in CARICOM right now. There's so many little pockets of things popping up all over the place. We have this surge in cases now happening in Trinidad and Tobago. We have that volcano, and then last week we had the flooding there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And then we also have the ongoing issue of Haiti. There's a lot.
Yes, well, the backdrop, of course, is COVID-19.
That's right.
And all of our member states continue to struggle with the virtual shutdown of our tourism-based economies. And so the name of the game now is vaccination as much as possible. And the governments, many of them, are tackling this vaccine hesitancy that has been imbued in so many of our people through a lot of misinformation on social media. But the necessity of this vaccination becomes clear when you get a situation like Trinidad and Tobago. They are now going through, right now, what we in Barbados experienced in January and February of this year when we had our surge. And they've had just yesterday, for example, in excess of 200 new cases, 3 deaths over the last 24 hours. And so they have instituted a lockdown until the 23rd of May. The public sector, only essential services are working. Much of the private sector has been shut down. And in fact, I was urging my counterpart in Trinidad and Tobago that they should look very closely at what Barbados went through in January and February and take some of those lessons from the Barbados experience, you know. But yes, so that is definitely a hot spot in our region, and we have to give Trinidad and Tobago all the support and solidarity that we can. Similarly, St. Vincent, you know, the flooding came last week, and it was a very dire situation. Thankfully, I've been informed. I made some checks yesterday, and I've been informed that the flood waters have now subsided, but some significant damage was done, ironically, in the green zone. You know, the volcano has already devastated the red zone and much of the orange zone. The green zone is the area that has been relatively safe from the volcano, but they're telling me that the main damage done by the flood waters, the mudslides and the landslides, was actually done in the green zone. So no doubt the SEDIMA damage assessment team that went into St. Vincent to do an assessment of the volcano-related damage will probably be adding some of that flood damage onto the assessment of the damage and what needs to be done to rebuild. So the story with St. Vincent is that they are going to need our continuing solidarity and support for several months. So it was very good to hear your interview with the Adventist group that is making this effort to send relief supplies to the children of St. Vincent. But we need to stay the course with St. Vincent. I'm looking out to see if they're going to revise their needs list, but I haven't heard anything so far. So as far as I'm aware, we are still going with the original needs list, and that is water. Lots of water, non-perishable food items, respirator masks, hygiene kits, and things of that nature. And of course, we can always give cash. Cash is very important. SEDIMA has their bank account right here in Barbados at the CIBC First Caribbean International Bank at Rendezvous in Christchurch. And let's just understand that St. Vincent is going to need our help for a few months.
the Caribbean need to also rise and lend. You know, really ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you now do for your country? Because oftentimes we sit back and we wait for the governments to do something and the people then receive. And I think the table now has to turn because it's all of us in this together.
Oh, yes. Not only that, but our governments are really cash-strapped and are under a lot of stress as a result of the shutdown of our economy. So it is really, you know, the governments, I was there at the meeting, the heads of government meeting, when every government was promising some help to St. Vincent. But the truth be told, it is going, staying the course is going to depend on the efforts of the ordinary citizens, the private sector companies, the service clubs, the churches. It is, the governments will do what they can, but let's understand the government's in a very difficult, all of them in a very difficult situation now. And if we are to stay the course, it is going to depend not so much on the governments, but on the people and the companies and organizations of the Caribbean.
What lessons from the past can we draw on right now, if you don't mind? What lessons from the past can we draw on right now to almost shore up our positivity rate, so to speak? The fact that we want to be able to help, but we want to have good examples to show how our help can really make a difference. What examples can you draw?
Well, I mean, just look at how we responded to the Bahamas with the Dorian situation. You know, I don't think we have a problem with that, you know, Pearson. I mean, we are a giving people. I think we are people with a real humanitarian heart. You know, I remember going to some of those schools in 2019 when Dorian hit and all these school children. Some of them, they didn't wait for the teachers and the school administration. They did their own effort. So I think our people already have that instinct. But I think what we have to stress, you know, when a disaster happens, everybody, but as time passes, it kind of recedes from our consciousness. So I think we just have to keep reminding our people that even though St. Vincent might not be the #1 news story at any time, that the need is still there, and we have to be conscious that we still need us. But our people do the right thing. And us in Barbados, because we have such a relationship with St. Vincent. But we need to think about Haiti as well, because think about it, right? Last year, when Guyana had this political problem, we were with Guyana. I mean, news stories every day. Well, Haiti has a similar problem, maybe even more severe, but we don't hear about Haiti. Haiti is still kind of the forgotten child of our Caribbean community, and I guess it's because it's French speaking. And but we really need to make an effort to take a greater interest in Haiti and to get closer to Haiti as a fellow CARICOM member state. Right now, they're in a terrible political crisis. The country has virtually come to a standstill. There is an impasse between the government, the president on the one hand, and the opposition forces and much of civil society. Many of them are claiming that the president's term has come to an end and he's remaining in power unconstitutionally. He is disputing that. There's a terrible security. So the country is paralyzed. There are protests, there are demonstrations, much of the economy shut down. And then there's a terrible security situation where gangs have come to the fore. There's been a whole spate of kidnapping. Many people are afraid even to come outdoors, and it is very, very, very worrying. In fact, it is so worrying that CARICOM, our heads of government, established an expert group to really try to investigate what is actually going on the ground in Haiti, and to make a report back to the heads of government so they can have a better understanding and hopefully be able to intervene in a positive way. I'm a member of that 4-person group. So over the past few weeks, we have been interviewing various representatives of Haitian society to get a good understanding of exactly what the problems are. And I'm convinced that CARICOM, we really have to step up to the plate. We have to play a much bigger role going forward in helping Haiti out of its problems and helping it to develop, because there's a big developmental deficit in Haiti. So I just want us to pay more attention to Haiti as a fellow CARICOM member state.
Here's what I'll commit to do with you next week. Next week, when we come around for our conversations on CARICOM, we will do Haiti. And since you are part of that eminent team, we want to hear some of the stories you're hearing as well. So that's if you don't mind, if we can make that our focus next week as well. Thank you so much, Ambassador. We have to leave it right there. We're out of time. But Ambassador David Commichon, again, as we continue our conversations on CARICOM, there's so much happening in CARICOM, but there's so much good happening in CARICOM as well, and there's so much more that we, as the citizens of CARICOM, can do to help ourselves along through these trying times. And so we look forward to hearing more about how we can get involved and engage civil society in what's happening. 23 minutes now to go to the hour. We'll take a break here. This break is brought to you by Charles Chocolate.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
21 to the hour now. You may have seen the story of that horse, or you may have seen it yourself, that horse-drawn carriage making its way around the island just a couple days ago. And why were they doing that? We'll get to meet the people behind that effort right now in Patrick Croney, who is the owner of Codrington Riding Stable, and Trevor Marshall, who's a team member of Codrington Riding Stable. Good morning, both of you gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Barbados. The question of it was, since we didn't know at the time when we saw it, was, what are you all doing? What was going on?
Well, I just want to say that for many years, taking ministry to the streets of Barbados. And well, before that, I used to travel with Pastor Holmes Williams, and we would do crusades all over Barbados. And I then had started a team. We would outreach evangelism, helping churches to take the gospel out and to encourage people to live, to really truly live, and through Christ. It was all the reason. And because of this pandemic, it had put us into pause for So myself and Brother Marshall, we had looked at how best we can take this message out. We don't have to filing for calls and so on, and so we looked at options, and one of the options were we can also get a horse and travel around Barbados and pray for different parts of the island, and pray also for these crews and a person that are in need of help and encouragement. We know a lot of people have lost their jobs over the past months, a year. And so we wanted to just lift persons to let them know that hold on to Jesus and don't let go will be the message we're going to take to this nation, which is what we did.
It's a beautiful sight to behold, honestly. I crave the day that I can sit in that carriage and be drawn by that Clydesdale, which is the only one in the Caribbean, isn't it?
Oh yes, he is. He's a lovely, lovely, lovely animal. He's so gentle. I call him a big teddy bear, you know. It's really awesome. He loved to draw the carriage. He loved to enjoy taking around that carriage.
Yes.
Expert at it.
Lovely. So you formed a ministry that is called the First Works Evangelistic Ministries, where you're taking your message out onto the streets to the people. And so you're motivated by your past experience with Pastor Holmes Williams to take the ministry back to the people. Trevor, what about you and your interest in what's been happening? Are you too a part of the First Works Evangelistic Ministries?
Oh yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my situation is that I joined. Well, I knew Patrick for many years, but I linked up with his ministry. It was maybe about a year or so ago, and we started going out to do some little open air crusades in Haynesville, and well, mainly Haynesville because just prior to the coronavirus hitting the country.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to do some ministry in Haynesville. But Patrick has been doing this, as he said, for quite a while, helping out other churches. And that's why I got involved, because my position is that the word of God has to be carried to the people.
Yes.
No longer can the churches just sit and preach within the four walls. That vision of going outside into the highways and the byways seemed to have died down. And it is even more crucial at this time. So we thought that if we get out there, we will sensitize the church leaders as well that they need to get back to the communities.
I see, Patrick, that you're reaching out to the community by engaging with young people, bringing them into the stables and teaching them a skill that traditionally Barbadians didn't necessarily possess. So talk to me a little bit about that and the work there.
Yes. Well, for me, for years, you know, I teach my kids to ride, and then when I bought my first pony, you know, I brought it to the community, and all the children were excited, and I saw that opportunity to help, you know, help the community to learn a skill, and I could teach them discipline while I'm at it, and I share the gospel too as well, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so they use it as a community project, and I watch many youngsters going on to ride professionally, not only here in Garrison, but in Canada, who can't ride or don't have the weight to ride, end up going on to be grooms, and some of them also going on to work in different administrative, different jobs, skills. And so, but the thing is to strive, and I've been truly blessed to hear some testimonies of some young men who gone on to do not only writing, but to do other jobs and how they're trying to strive. I mean, the pandemic now, not a lot of us off our guard, but nevertheless, I'm just here to continue to encourage that you just got to continue to hold on, and the Lord will see us through this whole entire. It's just a matter of time.
But it's a little bit more than that. How many of those men, those young people with whom you've engaged, actually continued in the ministry as well with you?
In the writing?
Not just in writing, but also into your ministry of taking the word onto the streets and into the hearts and homes of people.
Okay, so we have some young men, obviously, that would have gone on to become involved in ministries and music. I had one powerful testimony of a young man actually came to my doors a couple of days ago and told me, Mr. Cornell, I got good news for you. I not only married and being a part of ministry, but now I am actually becoming a father shortly.
Wow.
Tremendously blessed to see that this young man, and I saw miraculous how this young man was destined to die. He had an element that was actually had him on his bed to the place where I thought he was going to die, but we just truly believe in power of prayer, and God will resurrect that young man to see him striving and doing well into the IT. He's an IT young man, and I always like to look for their skill set and try to help encourage him in that direction and try to see if we can get connections for them. You know, he's going on to do well. You know, I'm just proud of him.
So Trevor, why would I, as a young man, do you think, get involved in this program with you? Why should I?
Well, because certainly the country is in a state where there are a lot of people without any hope. As you will know, there have been some suicides committed, and people are really under a lot of pressure. And the message that Jesus Christ has given to the world is a message of hope, and that hope is in Him and walking with Him, regardless of if there are trials. Because He is with you, He will take you through any trial, and you will overcome it.
Mm-hmm. Now I want to look back because I think that the picture of that horse-drawn carriage making its way through is so captivating. And I know, Patrick, is it available for rental? You know, can we hook up?
Yes, actually, before the pandemic, and well, before that, we were doing more specials like weddings and special events. I mean, we haven't done a great lot because it was only approximately a good few years I had the carriage now. But long and short is that we were doing a lot of special. But to be honest with you, to maintain, especially the horse is a very high maintenance animal. And so, you know, we were doing a lot of special events. But now with the pandemic, you obviously got to get creative. So I decided, well, you know, what we're gonna do is to do some tours around the town and maybe around the Garrison's unit tours and let people get a chance to enjoy this splendiferous carriage, you know. And so with that, we have now engaged in doing, you know, we call it the Barbados horse and carriage tour.
Love it. I love it. I love to watch period pieces while I'm watching anything at all on video or TV. You know, so for me, watching a horse-drawn carriage is like, wow, wow. Every time I see it, because I'm just trying to figure out how comfortable or uncomfortable this is, one. And, you know, just, are you licensed, by the way? How is licensing for you, road usage go? How does that
Actually,
go?
when I bought it, comes with the license and everything. I bought it from 2020. He's the license, carriage is licensed to operate. So I bought over the whole entire operation with the license and everything. I went to the MTW. I tell them, you know, I took over the operation. They said, well, you're going to be one of a kind because we're not going to be issuing any more of these licenses, but you can function. So it's truly a blessing to own this horse and carriage. And, you know, it was really tough for me at times. One time I was thinking releasing the whole thing because this pandemic had us all under stress. And maintaining so many horses, I had to try to scale them a bit, you know, because we do also do the horseback nature tours through the botanical gardens and 1 hour tours, and that's another awesome experience. But driving in the carriage is so awesome that if you come up in just an ordinary dress code, you tell yourself a sorry to put on something a little bit more splendiferous because you know you've got to feel quality, you know.
That's right. I love it, but I want to thank you, gentlemen, for the work you're doing, not just with the stables and trying to integrate young people and to change their perspective on life and to help them become far more responsible in life, but also in your ministry, using the horse-drawn carriage to reach out to people in their homes and their hearts to spread the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ as well. I want to thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Something tells me it's going to bear a lot of fruit indeed. So Patrick Croney, the owner of Codgerton Stables, Riding Stable, and Trevor Marshall, a team member also of this ministry as well. Thank you so very much for joining us on Morning Barbados today.
It's a pleasure, and I know look forward to next week again, next Saturday. We obviously have permission to ride around the town because obviously people will be out for the next week. And so we're going to be just blessed the place with more of this wonderful gospel music and a good encouraging word of hope, you know, and to encourage people to hold on, as our Prime Minister said, hold on and stay the course. We can get through this together.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
God bless.
You're welcome. I like pies. We'll take a break. When we come back here, our girl Chantal will join us. We'll look at that fresh salad dressing.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 8 minutes to go to the hour of 8 o'clock right now. Chantal Selman joins us again this morning. It's Monday, so it's Nutrition Monday, of course. Chantal, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It is clearly not raining in your area right now, right?
No, it's not raining right this minute.
Because I know you would have had to go inside. So Chantal, today we're going to look at making some fresh salad dressing. So what are we going to make it with?
Yes, we are. Okay, so we're going to make a nice creamy salad dressing. Sweet pepper, avocado, some cashews, a few dates, and juice.
All right. So this is going to be interesting. I know I'm not an avocado person. It's not one of my favorite fruits, but still, we shall see. That's good for binding it together, right?
Yes. So you want to round out that fatty satiation in your mouth, that creamy feel, and this will do it.
Okay.
So we're going to start with the oranges. We're going to have some orange juice is a good source of vitamin C.
Yes.
The dates are sweetener. You can use 2 dates. This is just 1 orange. About 1/8 of an avocado, which is a really good fat. So you want to be using avocado or some kind of coconut jelly or some oil of some kind. Clove of garlic. Can't forget your sweet pepper, red sweet pepper. And we're going to blend this, and this will last 3 days in the fridge.
Okay.
So people can make it fresh each time if they want to. And you can use about just a handful of cashews. That also gives it some of that creaminess you're looking for.
Right.
And a half a teaspoon of salt. A little extra water, maybe a 1/4 cup. Bring it up to the line. And you can put it in your NutriBullet and blend it.
And voila.
Voila. And when you're finished, you have a nice creamy product. I know. TV land. Then you have a nice creamy product that you can put in a squeeze bottle that you can use on a regular basis. And this is something you can have fun making with your kids so that they can learn how to make nice, healthy salad dressings for their salads, because it has natural enzymes that help to break down that roughage that you're putting in when you're doing a nice creamy salad. And you want to have something that makes it easy for you to eat a large bowl of salad.
Yes, indeed. And it sounds tasty. The nuts I like. I like everything else. I even like the garlic. I even love that one. And the sweet pepper. But you see me in that avocado pear? What can I replace that with again? Would a banana do?
That would be really sweet now, Pearson. Something fatty. So if you don't want to use avocado, you can use coconut jelly. You can use actual oil, like avocado, olive oil or something like that.
Okay. Well, then that could work for me then. You know, what I replace the avocado with can work for me. The coconut jelly will be delicious. And we have so much of that around. And again, as natural as we can possibly get with our foods, the better it is for us.
Of course it is. And the more nutrients you'll be uptaking every time you eat raw or lightly cooked or slow food. These are the type of foods that would really help you to get more of the nourishment and keep you. So whether it be fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, seaweeds, there's such a variety of things that you can use.
And we should keep this salad dressing refrigerated just to make sure it doesn't break down and, go off?
Definitely. And it will last you for about 3 days in the fridge.
Okay.
So you can have it with your salad
Just make enough to last at least 3 days. All right. So walk us through quickly what we've put in and the process.
Okay. So we put them in the any kind of blender. We put in red sweet pepper, an eighth of an avocado, 2 dates, a handful of cashews, a little half a teaspoon of Himalayan or sea salt, one orange that I squeezed, and about a half cup of water.
And there we go. We have a fresh salad dressing. It sounds delicious, Chantal. I trust everybody tries this at home. It seems simple enough. It's great for the children to get involved as well. But we're eating healthier as we go as well. And we're finding a way to really use the things around us that are healthy to make better foods. Thank you so much, Chantal.
You're welcome. Have a great week.
You too, Chantal Salmon there on our Nutrition Monday right here on Morning Barbados. Now, some good news before we go. Do you remember earlier in the year when we were talking about Skip a Meal, that campaign with the Kiwanis Club of Barbados? Yes, skip a meal. Well, the good news is they've beaten their goal. They've even gone higher than that. They've raised $10,613 thanks to all of you. Big thank you to all of you. All the funds were used to purchase devices for the children for a better learning experience. And look, take a look at your screen. You'll see some of the things that they've been able to give, the devices, the cases, and other little bits of gadgets as well. So the Kiwanis Club are looking back to say to all of you, thank you. Thank you. You've skipped a meal, and in skipping that meal, you helped them to reach their target. And in reaching their target, they've been able now to give to our nation's children as they're returning to school as well, providing them with devices, cases, and a whole lot more. They've been able to, according to what they've told me, to make a presentation in excess of $14,000. So yes, they've been able to help supplement that amount raised, $10,000 and more. And so we want to thank all of you for joining the call with us right here on Morning Barbados and the Kiwanis Club of Barbados to lend assistance to that. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. It works, and it works because of you. And so because of you, we say thank you. We want to wish you all a great today. It's been Monday. It's been a beautiful day indeed, and we hope that tomorrow turns out to be even better for you. So for the crew, to all of you, thank you for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.